I need to watch it again. I think that the pilot episode to Leftovers was a bad pilot because I think it didn't really give me enough kind of that world, but it just sort of was like an introduction to it, and I didn't really think a lot of the conversations it was having was all that interesting. And I feel like A Serious Man could probably just be described in the same way as like a pilot that I didn't think was really great,
Yeah.
that didn't really go that deep, and maybe if it went a few episodes further, I could be good with it. But to me, it's just I don't know. Like, if I don't get hooked in, and this movie, I didn't ever get hooked into it. Like, there's a few moments. Like, I mean, I guess I'm pleased when Psy dies because that guy fucking sucks. But other than that, there's really little joy
but
or like
it's I love
levity.
Fred Melamed.
I mean, no, he's great, but that character sucks. He's such an asshole. But like that,
Right.
but that's probably there's not much else humor or charm or levity I get from this movie except in like maybe this is a good way to go off into the actors because I do think all of the actors I think they're putting in good performances. I wouldn't say anyone is actually putting in a bad performance, and honestly from a directing standpoint, from like a cinematography standpoint or editing, like everything about this movie is very competently made. It's very intentional, but I
Right.
think
Yes.
that this is I just don't think this story was all that interesting. Like, I don't even think it's that I think the script is bad, because I think structurally it is well structured. I just don't think it had anything interesting to say. And
Wow.
I just kind of
Wow.
found it, or just anything that I haven't heard before, or anything that I wouldn't think is obvious. Like, just an obvious sort of theme that we all just kind of at this point take for granted. Like, it just kind of feels like a parable in the way that it's an old story, but all of the interesting colors and like depth to it are completely removed, and we just kind of have this like hollow sort of tragic story of this man who to me just isn't really righteous, isn't really bad, isn't really like, I don't know, like he's not I just like the poster is him on like on the roof with like the TV antenna. It's like it's such a bland poster to me too. Like it just also doesn't look like, I feel like the advertising for this movie also is just like, what, like, oh yeah, that looks like that's going to be a good movie. Like, what is that?
But I also think that it's not trying to project itself as anything more than it is. I think that all of
True.
its jokes, I think, are really just in tone and
Yeah.
mild forms of presentation of things, like almost in the sense of like, we see him watching the lady sunbathing, and then we cut inside and his whole face is pink. And you're like, Jesus Christ, how long was he up on that fucking roof? And like those sorts of little jokes, I think, or the ways that they do him writing something on the chalkboard and then turn around and saying something nonsense and like opening up his arms, and there's just like crazy equations, but he's talking about Schrodinger's cat, and you're like, how much Schrodinger's cat is like a concept? How much fucking math are you putting down on Schrodinger's cat?
Man, that's so interesting to me. Oh man, I didn't find that funny in the least. Like, yeah, I just this is I guess another movie where, yeah, I mean, I said it up front because I asked you, because I assumed you found this movie very funny.
Yeah, this movie's hilarious.
I don't find
Every
this movie funny
scene with
in any
Psy,
sense.
every scene with Psy is so funny. Just the way that he talks to Larry, and the way that he kind of pushes him around, and the way that, you know, even just then once, and then all of a sudden when he's sitting across from Psy and Judith, and now Judith is doing it to him as well, and he's just like sitting there having these people just like talk at him, and it's just, I find it very funny. I think it's very humorous.
Cool. I don't. And I guess that just, yeah, that relates to why I don't like this movie.